You wear a lot of hats in Gravity Rush 2. Kat assumes the role of a photojournalist, miner, stunt double, and so many more, but most of all, the sequel sees her transform into an even more powerful magical girl and friend. New features, environments, and well-written side quests refresh and greatly improve the feeling of falling forever in Kat's second journey, and only a few control and narrative issues weigh it down. The sequel picks up with Kat and her friends Raven and Sid stranded in a new, vibrant island that's boiling over with conflict. The first act is great because of the time it took to develop the new characters and city, but unfortunately the second falls a little short due to some weird plot holes. Only some are resolved by the otherwise satisfying third act and ending. Each place Kat visits in Gravity Rush 2's lengthy 30 to 40 hours is full of life, thanks to jazzy music and bright design. The new city has drastic changes between each of its vertically separated island districts, which feels much different from Hexville's more horizontal layout. I spent lots of time exploring and collecting the precious gems that power up Kat's abilities. They're everywhere, and hunting them is addictive. They led me to parts of the city I wouldn't have seen otherwise. I love visiting the high, rich islands only to dive down to the market far below. The gravity styles Kat learns greatly change how she falls. You have even more control over her speed and levitation, so once those come into play, falling becomes just as important as flying. The improvements also make fighting more interesting by offering creativity options with Kat's movements. There's a ton to do in the city with new challenge missions, chatting with select NPCs, and of course, side missions. I had a hard time skipping any of those because they provide a unique look into the lives of each city's residents and offer varied assignments. I got to help journalists report on an illegal trading deal and join schoolgirls in a demonic ritual. The Gravity Queen does a little bit of everything. Kat doesn't spend all her time in the city though. Gravity Rush 2 takes her to a challenge area somewhat similar to the original's Rift Plains, but they're so much more imaginative. They also act as fun and helpful tutorials for the new gravity styles. There's plenty of time to master the regional style before moving on to the light and bouncy lunar style, and then the heavy and forceful Jupiter style. Flipping between the three and more challenging fights made Kat really feel like she had reached her full potential by the end, and I felt powerful having mastered them. Fighting alongside Raven in battle is another good dash of variety, and even though she's powerful, it's balanced so that fights aren't too easy. There's a good selection of enemies too. On the other hand, I dreaded the few missions that required me to use gravity sliding over a long distance. It's a hard power to control. There were also a few unfortunately long missions in smaller spaces that made the otherwise cooperative camera a pain. Gravity Rush 2 also sees the return of online leaderboards for the challenge missions, but my favorite new online feature is the treasure hunt. I use photos submitted online from other players to find cute chests filled with all sorts of loot. It's a cool, creative way to earn a few extra gems while exploring different parts of the city. After a couple of story hiccups, Gravity Rush 2 righted itself and pulled me in with the personality of its world and the wide variety of activities. The new gravity powers make combat exciting, and well-written side quests grant better insight to Kat's universe. After 40 hours, I found it hard to put the controller down, and I can't wait to jump back in to finish every side quest I can find. For more on Gravity Rush 2, keep it on IGN.